Good morning, everybody. There's a train that is going by my window right now, so I hope you don't hear that. I was gonna wait, and it's a long train, so I think it's finally ending, so I thought I would go ahead and get started. Hi, hope you guys are doing well today. Hey, today we have another video. I have another lab for you, and I'm actually spending the entire time in this video kind of explaining that lab. So let's get started. Let me go ahead and get going, sharing my screen with you. Okay, I'm gonna move that because I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so today is Tuesday, March 31st, and I've got our standards. These are the same standards that I had yesterday, so I'll let you guys read through those at your convenience whenever you want to. So let's jump down to the objective. Today's objective is the student will compare 3 different chemical reactions in order to recreate them at home. Students may design their own investigation to see if they can achieve similar results, or if your results can be better than mine, which I'm sure they can be. No homework, I'm not assessing anything. And if you can't do this lab at home, that's totally fine. I hope you guys understand. I'm just posting these with the intent that if you wanted to, if you have the stuff, if your parents can supervise you, that they can, and that you will try it at home, because you guys know that science, I think you have to do science in order to understand it. And these are kind of simple, easy to do. The one today is a little bit more not hard, but just a couple more steps, and it's actually really, really cool. I'm glad I did it. But I do want to warn you, this one involves some chemicals that may be a little bit more harmful if you get them in your eyes. And so I'm just going to read through this really quickly with you. The very first thing that I need you to do is make sure that you have parental permission to do these experiments at home, and that if your parents want you to have supervision, that you wait until somebody's home and can watch you make sure that you're going to do things okay. The chemicals we're going to use today can stain, and I'm not just talking your clothes. It can stain the countertops, it can stain your sinks. So I use my laundry room sink because I'm okay if that gets a little bit dirty. If you don't have like a workroom sink, or you want to use outside, that's totally fine. But just be aware before you start. This isn't something that you could just do and then get in trouble later because you're staining something. I don't want you to get in trouble. Okay, so let me just read this. It says the following labs require household chemicals. Some items may cause eye irritation or create fumes. Some staining may occur, so wear old clothing. Put some newspaper down, or just really be aware of where you're laying things so that you don't leave a mark. Girls, if you've got long hair, you might want to tie that back. If you've got sleeves that are kind of loose, definitely roll those sleeves up because you don't want to get anything on you. Okay, conduct your investigations in a well-ventilated area. I did mine in my laundry room, and I just opened up my window a little bit. I was hoping to go outside today. It was a nice day today, but this is Sunday. I did this on Sunday. It was a nice day, but it was still a little bit cold. And so I'll talk to you more about that later, but I ended up doing everything inside, and it was totally fine. I just cracked a window and it was fine. I do have rubber gloves that I use for cleaning, and I wore those. I'm glad that I did. If you don't have rubber gloves or latex gloves, I think it's okay. Just make sure that you wash your hands often, and don't just like soak your hands in the chemicals. Protect your eyes. You probably don't have safety goggles at home, but just be aware of what you're doing. Go slow. Don't let that splash into your eyes, okay? Yeah, I said wash your hands immediately after handling chemicals. If you get anything splashing in your eye, make sure that you flush your eyes really, really well and get all of that out. Wash your eyes. And then any leftover chemicals that you have, you can pour those down the drain. Totally fine to do that. But just leave the cold water running for about a minute after you do that, and it helps dilute the chemicals as they go down the drain. And they're just household chemicals like salt and vinegar and those kinds of things. So you're used to pouring that stuff down the sink, and it's totally fine. Okay, again, do not recreate these oh shoot. It says, do not recreate these investigations. I want you to recreate those investigations. Time out. I'm going to change this, bring this up. Yes. Actually, isn't this funny that you're watching me do this? That's hilarious. Do not recreate these investigations unless you have parent supervision. That's what I want you to do. Good grief, that's funny. All right, so let's get started. The very first thing we're going to create is rust. So before spring break, we were talking about how their lead pipes and fertilizer were reactants in a chemical reaction. And there was a product that was made, and that was rust. And so we're going to recreate how to do that. I think that's kind of a cool scenario, and we're going to continue to kind of look at that. How is rust being made? All right, so these are your ingredients that you're going to need. On the left-hand side, you're going to see that I have several different types of metals. I didn't know which one would work best. I've got a tin can. I just took the paper off of it that just came from my pantry. I have like a cookie, you know, these pirouettes cookies. I had those in my pantry, so I took that lid off because that looked shiny like tin, like that would work. And then I went to Hobby Lobby and I got actual sheets of tin. If you've got old tin, lead works really well for this, works really well. And if this doesn't work for you and you want to try something else, just go on Google and type in, do a search on how to rust lead or how to rust, you know, whatever. If you've got galvanized steel, that's not going to work. That's been treated so it doesn't rust. And so you'll be spending a whole lot of time and you're not going to get any results. So do a little bit of homework before you try, get some metal, and then just see what happens. Next, I've got just hydrogen peroxide. I get that at the grocery store. I got mine at Dollar General. I got white vinegar, just regular table salt. On some of the YouTube videos that I watched before I did that, I saw that some people used ammonia and salt. You can try that, see if you get better results than I do. And then I've got fine grit sandpaper. And then, like I was saying before, I tried to do this experiment outside because the sun was shining, but it still was kind of cold outside. And so it was taking a long time for these things to evaporate. And so it was taking a long time for the whole process to start. So I brought it inside and I used my hair dryer, and I mean, it was almost instantaneous that it happened. So use a hair dryer, and if you have a place to work inside, you'll see the results a lot faster. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You need 2 spray bottles, okay? The first one, you pour in like half that bottle of vinegar, and you're just using the vinegar. That's it. In the second bottle, you're going to put in 16 ounces of hydrogen peroxide. And if you look on the side of the bottles, if your bottles has the markings that has the ounces on it, perfect. If it doesn't, just go to Google and convert 16 ounces is how many cups. I'm not going to tell you because I want you to find it out. It's a really simple thing to do. Just go to the Google search and type in 16 ounces equals how many cups, and it'll tell you. Okay. All right. So you've got 16 ounces of hydrogen peroxide, and then to that add 2 ounces of vinegar and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And then you're just going to kind of shake it a little bit and let that salt dissolve. Okay. So you've got 2 different spray bottles. Next, you're going to use that fine grit sandpaper to scuff up the surface. I started doing this in the bathroom and I thought, that's probably not really a good idea. I should probably do this in the laundry room. So I moved everything to the laundry room. Notice here, I also took some painter's tape and I taped one little piece of that tin because I wanted to compare to see what it looked like before and after. So you don't have to do that. I just did that so that I had something to show you. And you're not looking to really scuff up. You don't want to like damage your metal at all. So use the finest grit sandpaper that you can find. So then I moved into the laundry room, and you're going to spray the entire surface with just the vinegar and use the lightest spraying that you can, just like a mist of vinegar. And then you're going to use the hairdryer to dry that. I wanted to let you know, you see this red right here? That's just the reflection. Poppy's cage is right here. And so that is not the reaction that you're looking for. That's just Poppy's light. So go ahead and hit that with the hairdryer. And they said on the web page that I was at that you want to repeat this step with just the vinegar 3 or 4 different times. maybe even up to 5 times. And the reason why is because the vinegar is going to cause the tin to corrode. And so there's a vocab word for you. Corrode is a verb, and it means to destroy or damage due to chemical reaction. So the vinegar and the tin were reacting, and it was forming something else. Okay, so then when you're finished with that vinegar part, then you're going to take what I'm calling the rust solution, and that's the hydrogen peroxide, vinegar, and salt. And you're going to lightly spray that rust solution, and you're going to see something happen almost immediately. Then as soon as you hit that with the hair dryer, it requires that heat. It's like, you know, you guys that were making brownies and frying eggs and everything. In order for that chemical change to happen, we needed heat to come into it. So this is called an endothermic reaction. So you hit it with the hair dryer and you're going to see something amazing. Let me stop sharing for 1 second. And here's what I have. So this is mine. Isn't that crazy? That's the rust that happened. Now this is just on the surface. It doesn't go all the way through, but it absolutely rusted right away. There's my original tin, and there's the rust. And my container that I had 2 pieces of tin. And so I thought, here's the thing. When I was originally doing it, I had it kind of tilted into the sink so that when I was spraying it, it would drip down. And then I noticed, like on the 3rd or the 4th time that I did the vinegar, that if I left it flat, it actually held that stuff there, and then it would react a little bit better. So I did the second one, and it worked much better, I think. Isn't that amazing? And it happens like almost instantaneously. It's really, really cool to see. Okay, so you guys saw that I had the tin can, and you may not have a sheet of tin. You may not be able to go to Hobby Lobby, but you might have a tin can in your pantry. And so this is what mine, and it did it, but you can definitely see right here and then around. Boy, that really got the rust. But the surface, I think I would have to work with it a little bit more in order to see the rust occur there. But it's definitely, you see the chemical reaction. That's all I want you guys to try. And then here's that lid of the Pirouette cookies. I don't know if you can see that very well. This one was, it didn't do it as well. And I thought that was interesting. This was the one that I thought would react the most because it had that really shiny silver. But I wonder if maybe it was treated, and so that's why it didn't. I don't know. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to go back and share my screen again because I've got a second one I want you to see. And the second video, or the second experiment, is I got to thinking about, with Amplify, we were talking about fertilizer. And I thought, okay, can I find a way to corrode metal with actual fertilizer? I want to see if there's something that we can kind of recreate that Amplify. And I found this one, and this turned out really, really cool. This is very neat too. Okay, so there's 2 different ways you can do this experiment. First thing you need is some Miracle-Gro. And Miracle-Gro is a fertilizer. It's crystal fertilizer. And this, you absolutely need a parent permission, because it's not something that you're going to want to handle with your bare hands. It's not something that you're going to want to bring in the house and maybe leave some around and have a baby brother or sister or somebody come along, or your dog or somebody. Be careful with this stuff, okay? So the first one uses Miracle-Gro and water, and you'll notice that I used a copper, the metal, my metal was copper this time instead of tin. And we're going to use 3 parts to 1 part, and inside the Miracle-Gro there's this measuring spoon kind of thing. And so 3 parts to 1 part just means I'm going to use 3 of these to 1 of these, and that's all that means. And so you can use whatever you want. I didn't want to make a whole lot of it because I just had this little piece of tin and that's it. And so I just used 1 little, I think it's like a tablespoon of Miracle-Gro and 3 tablespoons of water. And that's supposed to give it more of a green patina. Copper patinas, think about this. What color is the Statue of Liberty? Green, right? It's really copper. Statue of Liberty is made of copper. When she was first brought to, when she was first made, she looked like this, copper. your pennies. Have you ever seen like a patina on your pennies and it gets kind of like a bluish kind of teal green color? Pennies nowadays aren't full copper all the way through, but they're copper coated, but they still definitely react, and they'll get that patina on there. So for the green patina, we used water, but then I saw this one, it said if I wanted to use more of get kind of a blue green, like a really rich turquoise green, we could use red wine vinegar. And it's the same thing, 3 parts red wine vinegar and 1 part of the Miracle-Gro. And so I went ahead and did that. I don't think I have a picture of it, but whatever liquid you use, I poured it inside, and I used a glass jar. It was something that I had jelly in. So like a little glass jar. And I did that instead of plastic, because you have to be careful sometimes when you mix chemicals like Miracle-Gro or things, you just don't want them to react with the plastic too. And like the last thing I wanted is my plastic to start disintegrating. And so use glass for that if you can. And then I just stirred it up so that the Miracle-Gro was dissolved. And then you're supposed to, the directions said to rub or to spray the solution on the copper and then let it sit, and obviously like sit outside in the sun and let the heat kind of get to it. I did not have a place, and plus I had my copper sheet. I didn't want to spray the whole thing. And so what I did is I just soaked the whole solution up with some paper towels, and then I laid the paper towels out on top of the copper plate. And so this was the one that was the water, and this was the one that was a red wine vinegar. And I just put it on a shoebox, and I laid it flat on that shoebox. And you'll see that I've got painter's tape in the middle because I wanted to keep part of that copper untouched so we could compare what it looked like before and after. And then you're supposed to let that sit for 30 minutes. I checked the red wine vinegar after 30 minutes and it was really reacting. The water really wasn't. And I think maybe I didn't soak up as much of this solution. That's why. So I left it on there a little bit longer and it reacted. So I would say instead of letting it sit for 30 minutes, I'd maybe let it sit a little bit longer. Don't be surprised if you look after 30 minutes and you don't see anything. But this is what I got afterwards. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that cool? Okay, so this one, can you guess which one was the red wine vinegar? So which one was the one that was supposed to be, what did I say? Well, whatever. This one was the water and this was the red wine vinegar. And I think this one's pretty, but it's really subtle. This one is really bold. Love this. This is super cool. And then I want to show you the back too. It really hit it. Okay, you want to know something super funny that I just noticed? I'm kind of a doorknob because I treated this side, but I actually, you can see where I sandpapered this side. I should have done this side. That's probably why it didn't react right away. That's probably why it took 60 minutes and not 30 minutes. Well, learn from my mistakes. Okay. Hey, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Give this a shot if you can. I'd love to see it. If you can't do it tonight and you want to wait till the weekend, cool. But I would love to see what you guys come up with. Okay? All right, cool. I'll talk to you later. Bye.